Most leaders don't get beaten. They get tired, they get discouraged, and they tap out. And it's not that the competition was smarter or even better. It's that they were willing to stay in the fight longer. That's grit, and that's the edge. And it's available to you and anyone else the moment that you decide I am not willing to leave the field until I win. I'm Chris Hunsicker, and this is the Dealership War Room. Leadership fire, 7 minutes, built daily, fueled intentionally, and delivered relentlessly. And today, we're going to dive into what specifically can you do to build that grit in yourself, in your family, and in your team. So let's get started. Let's get real. Almost everybody secretly inside, they want the quick win, the hack, the magic bullet. But you and I both know that this business in particular, it doesn't reward the sprinter, it rewards the grinder. Let me share with you a contrast between two stores that I coached in a large Midwestern town. One of them was lots of flash, big advertising spend, new kind of programs every single month, lots of sizzle. The other one, not so loud, really focused on the fundamentals. Always looking at their process. How do they refine it? What do we do? How do we get better? And when things got ugly, that's when they stepped up. That's when they doubled down on process and fundamentals. Years later, guess which one is still dominating the market? The one that wouldn't be outlasted. Because here's the truth. The field isn't won by the guy who can run the fastest 100 meters. It's won by the man or woman who refuses to leave the track at mile 20. And this might be exactly where you're stuck right now. You're tired. You're looking at your team's inconsistency day after day, week after week, your own burnout and the endless problems. And you might even be starting to believe that story that says, this is all I've got. Maybe I've peaked. And I will tell you, that's a lie. You don't need to be faster and you don't need to be smarter. You need to outlast. Grit is your unfair advantage because most people quit too soon. They let their frustration convince them that they're finished, but not you. You're a war room leader and you know you've got another round in you. This is the second great gift of COVID. The first great gift of COVID was the growth train. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen in 30 years in the business. But the second great gift is right now. There's a bunch of people who lost their sales stamina. They lost their sales athleticism. And so they're struggling and they're fighting and they're upset and they're frustrated. And so they're getting ready to quit. And you now have this amazing opportunity, the second great gift of COVID. While everybody else is getting frustrated, you are back to fundamentals, you are back to focus, you are back to grit because you've decided you will not be outlasted. You will not leave the field until you win. And that, my friend, is an unfair competitive advantage. So let's take a look at how you can build grit into your daily operating system. Not as a theory, not as an idea, but we can go theory to practice to mastery in your own life, with your family, and with your team. Number one, set the horizon longer than everyone else. Most managers think in 30-day windows. You know that. You zero to hero. We talk about it all the time. If you can expand your horizon to years instead of days, then just that expansion, it totally changes how you look at and how you endure the inevitable dips. Number two, train in the dip. Don't bail in the dip. When energy, morale, and especially results drop, most leaders, they bail. But Outlast leaders, they lean in because it's in the dip where resilience is forged. Number three, find rest, not escape. This is so critical. Outlasting doesn't mean like knuckling it until you burn out. It's about strategic recovery, sleep, rest, meditation, prayer, oscillating on and then off, on and then off, building recovery into everything that you do so that there's this constant sense of refreshing and recharging. Those elements, your sleep, your recovery, your meditation, those are grit fuel and you need it to fuel your grit engine. Number four, anchor to legacy and not this month's numbers. When the short-term scoreboard is ugly, remind yourself, I'm building something more than this month. And that little shift in perspective, it's going to allow you to stay focused and in the game when everybody else folds. Let me share with you the grit question and how I had to use it just a couple of weeks ago. When you find yourself ready to quit, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you really finished or are you just tired? And that's where I found myself. couple Fridays ago, do I really want to keep doing this podcast? This takes a lot of time and energy and effort. It's not growing as fast as I want. Not as many people are subscribing. Even the people who are subscribed aren't watching as much. And I started trying to talk myself out of this and thinking, maybe I should just quit. I tried. It was good effort. But I asked myself the grit question. Am I really finished? No. There's so much more that I want to do. Or am I just fatigued? I was just tired. And I ended up texting a friend of mine, and she had texted me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, had a bad morning, and I was even thinking about quitting the podcast, and it took me a little while. I had to have a conversation with myself, a little bit of mirror work, and by the afternoon, I was back on track and feeling good. That's the power of the grit question. You want to ask yourself, are you really finished? Or are you just tired? Because here's what I found: 9 times out of 10, if you'll just stop and do that, you'll find you have a lot more in you, and that is all you need to stay in the arena, keep going, and outlast. So let's turn insight into action. And I want you to look back today and I want you to find one area in your leadership where you've been tempted to quit. Not because you were beaten, but because you were tired. Maybe it's coaching that underperformer who's wearing you out. Maybe it's trying to keep your service drive aligned and disciplined. And maybe it's just trying to create the discipline you need for your own morning routines. Don't quit. Don't bail. Outlast. And here's the exercise. Take that thing and write down one thing that you're going to do to stay in the arena, to stay in the fight. Big or small, it doesn't matter. Just commit to one more round. War room leaders, most don't get beaten. They just get tired and quit. But not you, not here, and not today. Your grit is your ability to outlast, stand tall, stay in the game, and keep swinging. So today, I want you to go out with a whole different mindset as you walk through your floor, as you walk through your store, as you go in and out of the other departments. And I want you to start looking for elements of grit. See where you're seeing that, where people are standing up, where they're outlasting, where they're staying strong, and find a way to catch people doing grit right. Compliment them, tell them, let's build more of that and go out and create some leadership fire. And I'll see you tomorrow in the Dealership War Room.